As Dan Arbell joins in now. Dan, former Deputy Chief of Mission at the Embassy of Israel. Welcome back to the show. We were just looking at the Netanyahu live comments there. This gas field, okay, that was hit. Is Netanyahu speaking, Claudine, in English right now? I think he's being asked about it. Stand by, Dan. Let me just see if he talks about this gas field, okay? This is it right now.
Will I commit right now that it's going to collapse? I can tell you that we're working to create the conditions for it to collapse, but it may survive, it may not. If it survives, it'll be a lot weaker. There's no comparison. It'll be at its weakest point, shorn of industries that it built over decades, death industries.
All right, let me come out of this for a moment, Dan. All right, so just before we were going, just as Kelly was wrapping up, now I'm looking at headlines of what Netanyahu actually said. So there's this South Pars gas field. We were all over it yesterday. Israel hits the field. As Robert Sherman just reported, Iran responds. So they asked Netanyahu about it, and if President Trump was aware, and Netanyahu said, Israel acted alone, the president asked us to hold off. Here's, before you answer, what Trump said, President Trump, earlier today about that. Here's the president.
Amazing things.
I did. I told him don't do that, and he won't do that. We didn't discuss. You know, we do. We're independent. We get along great. It's coordinated, but on occasion he'll do something, and if I don't like it, and so we're not doing that anymore.
All right. So what's your read, Dan, on what's going on between the United States and Israel on this?
Look, I think they're very coordinating very closely, and I think that operationally, the U.S. military and the Israeli military are working hand in hand. Things like that could happen, and I think that Israel's intention was kind of to poke at the Iranians, also maybe make a statement towards the Qataris, which share the gas field with Iran, but without coordinating this with the United States, and then being slapped on the hand by Trump. But I think in the broader sense, we're moving forward with the war objectives. And I think that while the U.S. is kind of ready to perhaps contemplate an end of war, Israel wants to hit as many targets as possible, realizing at a certain point this would be over. And I think that they both share the goal of regime weakening, but then they're coming to terms with the fact that regime change may not be in the cards right now, as we've heard both from Netanyahu and Trump. So pushing forward as much as possible, but I think that a realization that time is running out.
But this particular strike on this gas field that's led to the retaliation that we just talked about and the spike in energy prices, a further spike that we just talked about, was that, in your view, or might it be seen later on as a strategic mistake that makes it harder, especially for Israel, to accomplish some of those goals that you're talking about in the long run?
Yes, I think so, because as you're saying, basically this is inflicting pain on U.S. and its allies in terms of energy prices, energy market, and that, if anything, would lead Trump to contemplate finishing this earlier, then it's the situation in the energy market. I think that Israel's strike may lead down the road to a decision to end this early and then hurt Israel's own objectives of continuing as much as possible and degrading Iranian capabilities and creating the conditions for the regime change as much as it could.
No, I get that. The leaving early part, too, I've been thinking about that, and I'm curious what your point of view. Isn't that more challenging, though, as well? If the president is to stop now before the Strait of Hormuz, for example, is open, we don't know exactly what these other nations, including Japan, have agreed to do from a practical perspective. But if the strait's still essentially closed and you leave early, you might have a bigger problem on your hand long term than you had going in some ways.
Yeah, right, because exactly. When you went in, you had a set of objectives, and now the U.S. is dealing with a whole new host of objectives, mainly Hormuz, the attacks on refineries in the Gulf, and so on. And so definitely there's this delicate balance at the time when actually the U.S. will decide this, and certainly it needs to take care of the Strait of Hormuz, but that does not necessarily down the road depend on ending the fight. I mean, it could declare victory or declare an end of war and then continue with the effort in the Strait of Hormuz to ease the passage there.
This is why these questions about, how are things going, or are we winning, or is Israel winning, and they seem to be, missing something or be overly simplistic. Do you agree with that, or do you think things are going well and there is a war that could be clearly won here in, whatever amount of time?
I think that we started out with very, with objectives of hurting Iran as much as possible, degrading capabilities, and now we're with a whole new host of issues and challenges. And I think there comes a point where, you could go on forever with this, but this needs to end at a certain point. The region and the world cannot go on months upon months with a war. And so definitely at a certain point, and it will be Trump's decision at the end.
Yeah.
He alone will decide, and Israel would have to, play along. This time we're getting close to that time. I don't think this would go on for months. I think we're talking about a week or two, and it will be over.
Netanyahu was just asked directly whether he misled President Trump, and his quote was, "I mislead no one," from his conference in Jerusalem. Dan Arbell, thank you. We'll have you on again soon, I hope. How do Iranians see this conflict? We actually have a key voice from the